Poultry farming site selection for the farm and the farm layout. The benefit of the house: to protect the birds from extreme weather, parasites, predators, rodents, and thieves, to provide physical environment which is required for optimum egg and or meat production, to avoid the following: spread of infectious or contagious diseases, to enable poultry attendants to work efficiently, to provide the manager full control of the farm with least efforts. Location of the farm: while selecting the lands and constructing the poultry house, following points are to be considered. The site should be on heat to avoid water logging. Optimum temperature, humidity, light, and ventilation should be there inside the poultry house. Poultry house should be with east-west orientation to prevent entry of air up to the farm in all season. Constant electricity and portable water supply, as well as efficient drainage system, should be there. Proximity to road and the marketing zone. Keep maximum distance from neighboring farm and also between two poultry sheds within the farm. Location of the farm should be such as that all essential things required for profitable poultry farming are readily available. The area should have enough space for future expansion. Very important. It may be noted that an official permission from local authority may be needed to start poultry farming. Factor influence design of the poultry house: temperature and humidity. The optimum temperature for layer is 55 to 70 Fahrenheit and for broiler 75 Fahrenheit. Humidity influence are tied closely to the temperature effect. For layer and broiler house, humidity should be between 40 to 60%. Ventilation refer to the changing of respired air with the fresh air. Poultry house should be well ventilated, avoiding direct wind draft and coldness. Proper ventilation is required to avoid sufficient oxygen to birds, to remove the undesirable gases like NH3, CO2, methane from the poultry shed. To reduce the temperature inside the poultry shed during summer, floor, feeder, and water space requirement. It varies according to age, size, type, layer of broiler, sex, species, and number of birds to be maintained. Light, very essential for normal production and performance in the poultry, and light enters in the eyes of the layer birds. It affects its production and initiate oven position, and this should be taken in consideration. Orientation of the house under the tropical condition, the width of the poultry house should be from north to south and length from east to west. Such orientation avoids direct sunlight radiation and minimizes splashing of rain water into the poultry house. Foundation should have enough hold on the ground to support the building. Floor should be elevated by at least 30 cm from outside ground level to prevent seepage and drain water. Length of the house may be any convenient length. Width with open-sided house should be from 9 to 12. Houses wider than this will be able to provide ample ventilation. Heat, in no case it should be less than 3 meters. Walls in open-sided houses, the side wall should not be more than 30 to 45 centimeter heat. Roof, poultry house roofing may be covered by aluminum asbestos sheet, depending upon planning and budget of the owner and local availability and the environmental condition. Housing system: we can divide the housing system to natural ventilation, open-sided houses, and enclosed sided houses, and artificial ventilated or environmentally controlled houses. Here we can find something like not a poultry farm, and it's something for fun. The poultry house, the economic growth of chickens start from the correct and adequate design of the building of the poultry house for the appropriate breed and the environment of the location. Selecting the correct dimension for the poultry house help in use of standard mechanization and adequate design of the ventilation system. Not using scientific rule in poultry building design could create production problem, high production cost, lower return, and wastage of different types of energy. There are three types of poultry house: open-sided houses, front and back side, and controlled environmental house. Open-sided houses, they rely on free flow of air through the house for ventilation. Certain requirements must be met if such ventilated house is to provide an adequate environment. Care in following these rules during the course of construction will avoid pitfalls later. Changes of construction will be cost too much. Width of the poultry house. Width of the poultry house of open-sided poultry house should be from 9.8 meters and more than 12.2 meters wide. These houses that are wider will not provide ample ventilation during hot weather. Wide houses also require additional interior support from inside that may interfere with equipment or manure removal. This width recommendation is basic for grown birds, broiler, and rare hens. Orientation. Houses must be oriented in direction to take advantage of prevailing airflow pattern. The air come from one side and lead out from another side. Orientation must also consider the relative to the solar heat transfer into the building from exposed roof or side walls. Poultry rearing areas should always be located upwind from the adult birds. Insulation. Even with a conventional poultry house, it's well to provide some types of insulation. The roof may be insulated using special product for this purpose. Building material and construction. Open-sided and environmentally controlled houses use a variety of building materials. The choice is dependent on the structure strength required and insulated characteristics of the material availability, and the material cost. Galvanized steel or aluminum are most commonly used for roofing and siding. Farming is usually done with wood or steel, and some houses constructed recently have used the built-up concrete wall methods of construction. Cages and other equipment can be supported either from the roof and from ground. However, most of the newer multi-deck cage units are supported from the ground because of their weight. Foundation. Solid and adequate foundation should support the building. Concrete blocks, bricks, and other permanent and proof material should be used. This is for the evenness of the foundation. Important for the well determine the evenness of the completed structure. Floor. For setting this control program, concrete and similar floor is mandatory. It's also necessary when the soil is very dense and can absorb and transfer moisture from lower subsoil, but in certain areas where the soil is sandy and where commercial broiler or commercial layer or breeder are kept, a concrete slab is not used when birds are placed on the floor. Cage houses should have concrete walks to facilitate the movement of the hand collection, or beneath the cage may be also not be there depending on the manure removal program. Doors at the end of the house should be large enough for the track of manure handling equipment passed through. Such equipment will be used when the house is clean. We speak about the open houses as a low budget, and it's suitable for some owners or some beginners. Open front and back side. With this type of house, most of the side areas are open. The heat of the opening will be determined by climatic condition and by the type of bird being the house. As broiler and young chicks, from 1/2 to 2/3 of each side is left open. The exact amount is determined by summer and winter temperature. Between both heat and cold are to be dealt with. The size of the opening should be medium, where heat is continuous, and the opening should be larger. Sometimes almost all the site is left open. For all birds and layers, the opening size is greater. For all the birds, they should be provided with more air because bird density is greater and more ventilation is necessary. Cage houses equipped with cages necessitate the greatest amount of air movement. The bird's density is the greatest of any type of flock. The sides should be almost completely open. Curtain during cold weather. Young chicks and the older birds should be given some protection during a period of cold weather and extreme winds. Curtain made of some durable and plastic-like material usually provide this protection, and they are installed down the length of the building and hung so that the entire curtain may be rolled up or down by cables and winches located at the one end of the building and by thermostatically controlled automatic winches. This construction makes it easy to regulate the size of the opening according to the weather condition and almost indispensable provision. Length of the house. Poultry houses may be almost any convenient length because automatic feeding equipment will limit the length of the poultry house. The equipment manufacturer should be consulted about the optimum length of the feeding system. Many times the feed hopper is placed in the center of the long houses to provide better use of automatic feeder. Controlled environmental houses. A controlled environmental house is one in which inside conditions are maintained as near as possible to the bird's optimum requirement. Doing so usually necessitates a complete enclosed insulated house with no windows. Air is removed from the house by exhaust fan and fresh air is brought in through intake opening. Artificial light rather than natural daylight is used to illuminate the interior. Where high outside temperature are involved, some method of controlling the temperature inside the house is provided. The houses are not heated except for powder. The heat from the birds is used to keep inside the temperature within the required for maximum feed efficiency. The shape of the roof, particularly all poultry houses built today have gabled roof, which vary from 1/4 to 1/3. A good overhang should be provided to protect the inside from the driving rain and to avoid the zero shape. Heat of the poultry house. Heat of the poultry. Most open-sided houses have a stud that is about 2.4 meter length. The stud represents the distance from the foundation to the roof line in areas where the temperature is exceptionally high throughout the year. The stud length should be increased to 3 meters. High-rise houses with manure storage area below the cage or slugs should be as high as 4.3 or more at the least. Companies for building houses and supplier for equipment and for this fully controlled, full automatic houses. Here, the Big Dutchman, Salmix, Cotton Sand in Turkey, because Cotton Sand, Salmix and Big Dutchman are German companies. Cotton Sand is Turkish. And you find supplier everywhere in China, India, Brazil, Egypt for your equipment and your